Vegas up next, Stanley Cup champions, 111 points, first in Pacific. They were fifth out of 32 teams. They beat Florida 4-1 to win the Stanley Cup. They're 12-1 Merrills this year. I thought they'd be a little lower than that. Didn't really bring in any new faces. They largely have the same team coming back, except Riley Smith was traded to Pittsburgh. Phil Kessel's gone. Teddy Bluger's gone. Jonathan Quick and Laurent Brossoit, they're gone as well. Right now, they are over the cap by about $4.1 million, but they do have Robin Lehner, who's probably going to go on LTIR. Unlikely he's going to be playing this year. 16-6, they rolled to that cup win last year. There's no reason this team can't repeat, right, Whit?
No, there isn't. Real tough loss with Riley Smith being gone, just what he meant to that franchise, how good he was in the playoffs. But I totally understand that. For watching Barbashev, it was like, we want to keep him. We can't keep both of them. And they made a tough decision, but that organization's proved they have no problem making these hard decisions. And they finally were kind of rewarded with all the trades and all the, I guess you could say, disloyalty to guys kind of coming to fruition with them becoming Stanley Cup champs. I do think that it's so hard after you win the cup to come back, and maybe you see a slow start, and maybe you don't, and they light it up, and they're that good of a team where the hangover doesn't really affect them. But there's just so much that goes into getting ready to play again, and being willing to kind of do what it takes to win a lot of games early in the season after having that high of winning the Stanley Cup, and then coming back and realizing, oh my God, we got 82 games before we can even try to repeat. And then you see teams struggle out of the gate sometimes, and it wouldn't shock me, but in the end, like, they're right there, they're making playoffs. The goaltending, right? Like, can Aiden Hill, like, I just don't know. Like, it's so hard for me to think that they won't be really good again, but I also wouldn't be shocked if there's some sort of step down. The reason that I do believe that they'll continue to be this good is, like, Mark Stone is a leader. I don't know about his health, right? Like, you've seen him go through so many different back injuries and what he was doing to play in the playoffs. Like, that guy's kind of a player that, like, it could end at any moment. I hate saying that, but you go through back surgery after back surgery, and all of a sudden it's like you never know what's going to happen. They're also currently over the cap, right?
Yeah, but like I said, they have Lehner, his $5 million deal. They can LTI him, so they can make it. What's the word?
The biggest thing for me is their defense, and it's so good. They have all 6 guys back that won the Stanley Cup, right? So you look at, like, how you need to play and having those guys that you can rely on. They all know their roles. That was one thing, watching them play in the playoffs, like, that whole team knows their role, and that is such like it sounds ridiculous to say, but in a lot of teams you'll see throughout the year, guys don't know what's expected of them. They don't think that their role should be what it is. Well, everyone bought in there, and everyone understood that this is what I'm paid to do. This is what I'm expected to do. And when an entire team knows that, crazy things they can accomplish, and they did. So a guy like Amadio, I think he has a big year. He's the ability to step up in the lineup, and you saw how good he was in the playoffs. Kind of similar to a guy like Stevenson, who really never got a chance to be like a top player until he got over to Vegas. Maybe Amadio takes a big step up. I still feel bad that I didn't even know who he was after they won the Stanley Cup, and I was like, oh shit, great game, buddy. I was also waffled with the Murr.
Yeah, he told me about that one when I saw him.
But no, it's a great team. Like, what else can you say that we didn't say in the Stanley Cup? It's just so many things are question marks for me because of how you respond after winning the title. But the other thing I will say about this team is, as a coach's shelf life, right? You've heard things about Cassidy that as the years go on, it can start to wear down on you. And everything's hunky-dory right now. They're Stanley Cup champs, but as years go on, maybe certain behaviors and attitudes continue, and guys do start getting sick of hearing them. I know that's obviously a reach right now. They're coming off a Stanley Cup. It's just when I'm thinking out loud of what could maybe derail this team, that's something that's a possibility, while being not what's the word I'm looking for here?
Don't ask me.
That's not a strong possibility, I'll say. But I'm just trying to think of reasons that maybe the Oilers will be able to walk through them this year.
Likelihood? Is that
likelihood? Maybe. Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
I think I'm pretty sure I pissed off a lot of Golden Knights fans when I said that the top 3 centerman depth position, it would go to the Kings, but a lot of people would argue that this center ice is probably the strongest. And even if you look to that 4th line with Roy in the mix, especially the way that Chandler Stevenson took that next step. So between Eichel, Stevenson, and Slick Willie, and Roy, That's a very fucking deep middle of the ice. Replacing Smith is not going to be easy, so I don't know who steps up in that position, but from top to bottom, still a lethal team. You worry about the rest and how much recovery you do get when you go all the way to the finals, but overall, another cup contender for me, and I mean, I don't really need to speak long-winded on these guys. They're still the same team, and they look
Marshall
lethal.
shows last year of his deal.
Yep. But,
so we'll see what happens there.
Overall, have them making playoffs, and Kelly McCrimmon has just done an unbelievable job of assembling this incredible roster.
There are no weaknesses, so it's like you're just like reaching to find things, but this team they're so well balanced that they're going to be right there again, I think.
Biz, you ask and I shall deliver. This is from the Vegas insider Miggs, who's going to this is the guy who's going to replace Riley Smith. Pavel Dorofeyev. You ever heard of him? Pavel Dorofeyev. I'm not saying it right. I'm the worst with these names. Dorofeyev. He had 7 goals in 18 games last year, called up from the minors from the AHL team. So look for him to fill in for Riley Smith. He's obviously a goal scorer. He's a sniffer, just like Riley Smith. Vegas in 5. I got Vegas as a number 2 in the division this year. I love that team. They're D. Nobody has a D that big that can skate like that. And that puts them
blocking
above.
shots. They just have it all.
And I would say you guys would agree, I would assume, best 4th line in the league by a mile.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, Wah, how good was Wah in the playoffs?
Colasar.
And then you look at Carrier, you look at the cigarette machine running people over, and Colasar's got a lot more skill than people think. So,
but I do not want them to go back to the finals. No finals. I can't do it again.
Away from that city.